Welcome back to NAB Show 2018. This is Wowza Studio Sessions, live from South Upper Hall, booth 11010. I'm really excited about this next segment, all about ultra-low latency streaming, and I have my very honored guests with me from Microsoft and Wowza to talk all about the new ultra-low latency streaming service that Wowza has built on top of Microsoft Azure. So, first of all, a lot of people may have heard of Microsoft Azure and all the myriad of things that it can do, cloud solutions, automation, developer tools, things like that, but they may not know how they can utilize it in their own workflows and their own development pipelines. So first off, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Azure, then we'll get into ultra-low latency streaming. So Lutful Konker is here from Microsoft to talk a little bit about that with us. Tell us about Microsoft Azure and how developers in the streaming space can take advantage of all of it that it offers.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. So, as you know, Microsoft Azure is one of the largest clouds in the world, one of the top or 2-3 clouds if you mention, our name comes up. And we are building a cloud across the globe. And we right now have about 50 regions, not data centers, regions, which has multiple data centers in each region. And we are constantly growing. What we are doing is we're trying to bring a cloud infrastructure for all of our partners and customers worldwide, where they can build highly scalable, highly efficient, on-demand, and monetarily scalable, monetarily efficient applications that can be reached out to all of their customers and partners as well. So we work with, if you can think of any segmentation, we work with all the top brands in those sectors, along with all the customers that we directly work with as well. So Wowza is one of our main media partners that we work with, along with several others. And I've known Jamie for a while. I've been working with Wowza for about 4 or 5 years.
Nice,
and it's been a great pleasure.
Yeah, it seems to be a great partnership that has really blossomed over the past few years and has certainly helped out a lot on the developer side. Jamie, when we talk, ultra-low latency seems like a buzzword. Doesn't really mean anything to a lot of people, but it is a real thing. And I think some people would benefit from getting sort of a background on what we mean by ultra-low latency streaming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, latency has to do with the delay, and that delay, you can think of it in 2 ways. One is when you hit the play button on a playback experience with streaming video. How long does it take to start that video? That's one thing that people think about. So fast starts are definitely of interest to people. The other side of it is the delay between what you see on the screen and what is being captured from the camera, or in the case of what we see more and more of is in the situation of interactive streaming, I'm doing other things with that video. I'm chatting or I'm reacting to it. If you think of HQ, you're playing a game, right? And that uses streaming too, and there's a timing element to it, and so you need that delay to be minimized down to something. Latency is not for everybody. A lot of people say, well, it's slow or it's this or that, and then you say, well, do you need it to be better? And they're, I don't know. So, but there are a lot of different use cases, especially more and more growing now, where latency does matter. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, trivia has exploded. That was one of the things that you mentioned. Also, in sports, it's a really big deal, and especially in gaming, it's a huge deal in online gaming. Both gaming from an esports perspective, but I was actually talking about online betting.
Yeah, gambling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Gambling is probably the biggest use case of ultra-low latency streaming. I know years ago when I was at Livestream, they built a platform that they ended up selling to IMG that was separate from the Livestream.com platform that was solely built with low latency in mind.
Right.
And now, there are a lot of other companies like Wowza who are really figuring out a much more robust, more solid infrastructure, and partly due to it being built upon a much larger cloud infrastructure like Azure. And one of the things that I wanted to figure out in this panel, in this discussion, was how the ultra-low latency service with Wowza in building it upon Microsoft Azure, how that helps drive the next generation of content delivery and video delivery for clients, and how that it contributes to the reliability and global reach of that solution. So maybe, Lutful, you can tell me a little bit about how Wowza integrates with Microsoft and how they're able to rely on reaching every destination that they're trying to go to when people are using their tools.
Sure. So if you think about live streaming in general over IP, traditionally it's very acceptable to be a 15 to 30 seconds latency.
Right, yeah.
Even longer, yeah.
But when we have worked with various customers on some of the use cases that we talked about, they have consistently asked us, how can we build a super fast, low latency solution on Azure, video streaming solution on Azure in those type of use cases. And there is no alternate to that lower latency, where if it is 5 seconds delayed, that live streaming doesn't have the value that they're trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. So there is this is the type of solution that they want. They want to be able to globally reach a stream going from a location somewhere in the United States over internet to somewhere in India in below 2 seconds latency. So it was very important for Microsoft for us to work with Wowza as much as Wowza needed it for their customers to have this solution available on our cloud.
Yeah, when we thought about low latency, we have got a lot of ways we've been thinking about it. Our software does it in some ways, and the cloud service we're talking about now obviously does it. We wanted, as Lutful said, these are global audiences, global needs, that what we call first mile, where camera first connects, or the encoder, to the playback, which is called the last mile. All these pieces matter. The network helps us tremendously in the middle, keep that latency down, and the reality is, we feel people want this because they want it at scale. They want the reliability. You need to build it as a service, and you need to build it on top of a platform like Azure, which tremendously helps with that latency all the way through.
Exactly, and we never claim that we are the media experts in the industry.
Sure.
We work with all media partners, all media customers, but we are the cloud provider. We are one of the leading cloud providers. But what we could do is to offer them with the infrastructure and the functionality and capability that we have on our cloud that they can leverage to build. So as we worked with Wowza, it's not just us came and helped and showed them how it was done. Wowza actually worked with key engineering teams on Microsoft side, like our networking engineering team, our storage engineering team, that build those infrastructure capabilities on Azure, and we consistently tweaked and tested to see how we could get to the lowest latency level.
That's really the key to this solution, really. I mean, I'm sure you have a ton of customers. They can sign up for a program to get involved with starting to build on Azure, but it's how closely Wowza has worked with Microsoft to develop this solution that has really kind of helped differentiate it from some of the other ultra low latency services out there. Actually, I feel like a lot of the ultra low latency services out there aren't that at all. They're just like using the term. We see that a lot, actually, like with some other providers. And this is not that kind of a show, but just to say that this is something that is real. We have a video that shows off how this actually works against some traditional transport protocols, RTMP and HLS and things that people are used to, where you can see the low latency in action from Wowza's solution. And there's what are some, Jamie, for you, what are some of the customer use cases that you're seeing for this service?
Yeah, we talked a little bit before about e-gaming and esports. Those are certainly popular ones. Auctions, much like gambling, are another one where the timing matters, right? Anytime you have the timing that matters. And really, sports is a big one too, right? The traditional, you don't want to hear the goal next door before you see it on your own TV kind of thing, right? That people talked about with Twitter in the past and stuff
FOMO,
like that.
fear of missing out.
Yeah, not that it's, exactly, FOMO, really.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the segments that people look at. And then what's really interesting is because mobile and interactivity are taking off here too and have been for a while, you're seeing almost a UGC kind of sense where you have companies that put out platforms that include low latency from us that that will, so almost a white label sense of our service, where they will then enable through the API the mobile devices and the applications on those devices at the end user level to actually start a stream and sell something, or have some sort of interactivity with whatever they're doing in their business model. And so the UGC area is coming up as a real popular area too.
Right, yeah.
Exactly, and I would also like to add, initially, when the IP-based streaming came into play, it was always in addition to your cable-based broadcasting for
Sure,
broadcasters.
yep.
But then now we see tons of startups that are building their core infrastructure and solution all IP-based.
Right.
So this is their primary business. This is their bread and butter. So everything has to work right. Everything has to work the way, if not better, than what they are used to, what the industry is used to with cable and satellite-based streaming.
So there are obviously a lot of customers using Azure to build their infrastructure on, and then there are a lot of Wowza customers. But how can people take advantage of Azure and the development and automation tools that are available to them to start to really take advantage of this ultra-low latency service?
So I'm just going to answer that in general terms.
Yes.
If cloud does anything the best, that's what it does. It brings all types of technology into one place for developers to build their overall solution on the top of, right? So,
right.
Like say for instance, in the past if I were to build a solution which required multiple partners and Microsoft technology to be in order for me to build my solution, I had to do it all on my own. And today, in the cloud world, what we do is we work directly with these partners like Wowza, who are the experts in this space, and we, the Microsoft, we provide the platform for them to be able to offer their solution in different types of deployment mode. You can have your own infrastructure style deployment, or you can consume their services as just Wowza offering the software as a service. And you can build your solution. It's kind of like you take all these different building blocks,
Right.
you connect them together, and you build your overall solution. And another thing is you can innovate quickly, you can try things quickly, you can fail quickly, because you never have to worry about investing into the infrastructure, because
You can get help along the way from people like yourselves.
Exactly,
For sure.
Exactly. And as I was saying earlier, it's not just we showed them how our cloud works. We are consistently working together. They are consistently working with our engineering teams, core engineering teams on the networking side, on the storage side, and we are learning from each other to their needs versus what's coming up in our roadmap. And we are making sure that they are on the front end of everything that we are bringing to the table. And if there are new services coming that tweaks a little bit of a tweaking of the network, makes the latency better, we're immediately letting them know, and they're building this into their services. So we are innovating for our customers. We are learning from our customers. We're learning from each other. It's a great big happy family in the cloud. We're trying to build the best possible combination of solutions possible for our end customers.
Yeah, I would just say real quick, when there's something they don't have on the Azure platform, either it's coming or not, we have the flexibility to drop something in that's third party and do the same thing, either in the short term or or long term, depending on whether they plan to offer that piece as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in the platform.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest key to all of this is that you're not restricted in any way as to what you can do. Really, the sky's the limit on what you want to build. If somebody would like to build an app or a solution using the Wowza ultra low latency service, how might one go about that? Tell us about GoCoder.
Yeah.
Tell us about the different tools that Wowza has to start to integrate this into their own solutions.
Yeah, definitely. So as I said before, the platform is API driven today. It's a focus on developers, and so it does have some user interface components, but mostly for analytics and for configuration viewing, but primarily an API piece today, which is instantly a developer-friendly thing. And so people can instantly build a white label service or expand or extend on that API and do things that not only the core things we do and do them well, but expand on that and do things they need to do outside of that for their business model. And then, yeah, we have the GoCoder SDKs on both ends, so we can do the capture and publishing into the ultra low latency service. and they can build mobile apps to do that today. And then with that SDK, and then they can take a different SDK and build a playback application on a mobile device as well. So
Right.
the clients today require Wowza, but they have the advantage of being on mobile devices as well as in the browsers on the desktop or on the mobile devices as well. So.
Yeah, and how does Microsoft help contribute to the speed of mobile delivery? I mean, everything that is, let's face it, nobody builds websites anymore. Everyone builds apps, right? So what have you seen is a trend going towards driving apps and driving mobile delivery for video content?
Right. So one of the biggest driver of cloud is these mobile applications worldwide, right? So you are no longer building a web-based application that's being consumed over internet only from all over the world, where we now know that your customers could be anywhere in the world. So we will have to reach to your customers, and that's why we leverage these different regions that we have across the globe. We leverage our networks to transport fast streams, leveraging Microsoft's own backbone network, that you can travel from one region, one corner of the world to another in a light speed. And we also can leverage things like our traffic manager technology that can sniff out this mobile presence of where this particular customer is, and then it connects you to the nearest Azure region so that you can get your data as fast as you need.
Right.
Instead of having to make a round trip around the globe. So
reliability really is what we're talking about.
And
is
the
delivering
speed and
it
yes,
reliably.
latency, exactly.
So that everyone gets it when they want to get it.
When they want to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about optimizing that first mile and that last mile, and we use the Azure network
Exactly.
to do that, and then we build resiliency or redundancy on top of that as well. Nothing's perfect, but just to add a little bit of extra padding and make sure that everything works. So take a multi-pronged approach to making sure that it all works.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Wowza's new ultra-low latency service. It's built on Microsoft Azure, and we have more Wowza Studio sessions coming up. Later, we're going to talk with Broadcast Management Group, and we have a lot more in store later on in the week, so stick around. We'll be back at the top of the next hour with more from NAB Show 2018. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.